I'm still pretty young.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sit down.
Side note, we got BassMage bringing out the PT, of course. We've been seeing it a little bit this bracket. I know we haven't gotten it until just now, but man, look at this. Villager already popping up with a little bit of aggression. Kind of expect Villager to be more of a slower pace character than this.
That's kind of the interesting trick when it comes to Villager. Like, a lot of times with these heavy zoning type of characters, they need to get the reward from damage somehow. So you've got to inevitably find ways to extend combos, whether it be from mid to full screen or mid to close range. But that damage and setting up a lead is important if you're going to play a generally slower type of neutral.
He's getting kind of clapped up, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the way this started off, I mean, my dude at 140, and kind of not really finding those hits. I feel like the platforms are maybe making things a little bit difficult. We've seen a lot of forward smashes off the plats. We've seen a lot of dash attacks as well. Kind of gives Villager access to some angles for projectile spammage that you don't kind of normally have on some other stage layouts. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been pretty nice so far. I love the coverage with that tree and then the slingshot. And ooh, BassMage, hold up. Maybe able to clean it up a little bit. Just a little shy, though. That could have been really good for him, but all the same, some decent damage, 70%, and holding on for dear life at 180. Ooh, barely losing it, though, Ubel. Coming so close.
Yeah, that Nair out of shield is just such a good get off me tool, and honestly a necessary. Oh, extending off of the tree sprout. That's some good management right there. Got to be careful with the Lloyd Rocket as well. Villager just runs interference so well here, and we're seeing a ton of that. Like as Flambo, you were mentioning earlier, the damage racking up so quickly on the part of BassMage because it almost feels like he can never apply pressure without having to worry about a hitbox.
That's unfortunate. Or I guess fortunate, depending which perspective you're looking at, but just getting an entire log falling on top of you, I imagine, cannot be the best thing to happen to you all day to day. But with the way things have been shaping up, it looks like this might be the restock here. BassMage, big struggling, man. I don't know. What do you think he needs to do to get back into this one yet?
Oh, right now, you got to go for some early edge guards. Here's the thing. You have such a big down air with that Ivysaur, pop him off stage, ruin his whole day. Boom, that Nair, good way to start it out and just ledge trap him. Look at that, just finding nice clean hits, 1-2 pieces, and racking up the damage. Keep it simple, keep it sweet.
That's the point of why we're seeing BassMage stick to this Ivysaur for so long. You're trying to utilize that range and these disjoints to burst through some of the slingshot, get some favorable trades going. But these center stage interactions and a good range of burst control has really allowed StealthBurst to hold steady and to fight their way back to stage, just not allowing themselves to get edge guarded. What a... Okay, sure there. Chopping down the tree, prioritizing some gardening, and taking out the trash while you're at it. Some clean stuff there.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. It's kind of like he was playing Tears of the Kingdom and needed a raft to get across the waters. We just found a random tree and just dropped them out 2 times now. So we got 2 logs. That's that's unfortunate. I think he thought maybe it was a Korok or something. Either way, it's been pretty rough. It's been pretty rough. So pretty body baggy game 1. To be honest, like sometimes you just got to call it as you see it. Kind of got clapped up, but toward the end of that first game, I think you both may agree with me here. BassMage did actually fight back a little bit, was able to finally get the first stock, actually racked up a decent amount of damage on that second stock, and was maybe trying to flirt with a comeback, but advances got rejected right at the door.
Oh, 100%. I will say that whole game, there was 0 Zard, there was 0 Squirtle. It was straight to the Ivysaur 24/7. So a little bit interesting to see. Normally you see the switch up to try to rechange and reset the tempo and momentum of a game. Of course, Squirtle kind of being able to push the pressure a little bit faster than Ivysaur, and then Charizard being able to threaten kills and just maintain this presence inside of a game. And so I don't know if BassMage just wants to play that Ivy or if they're playing that full Pokemon trainer. But that is what makes the character strong, is the ability to just switch up tempo in a moment's notice.
Yeah, it was kind of weird to see the prioritization of Ivysaur, despite the added disjoints and despite the added effective range that you have with Ivysaur. you do kind of struggle with the same things that you're good at. Like Ivysaur is a more spacing-oriented Pokemon, but can kind of get zoned really effectively. Charizard has some devastating combos, but can get comboed really effectively, as we're definitely going to a different stage here, not wanting the width of PS2 to come back to bite them. Instead, looking for more platform setups, I would think, in order to keep Villager in juggle scenarios and keeping the advantage and disadvantage more vertical as opposed to more horizontal, where you have to deal with Slingshot and a variety of other more hazardous ways to approach, like having to go through Void Rocket.
Yeah, I wonder if like maybe we got a few options, right? If we're trying to go a bit more vertical, triplats always an option.
Classic.
But then you also, depending on your ability to control the stage, you can flirt a little bit more with Smashville. But sometimes, like especially if you lose the stage, you kind of suffer. I don't know, like Smashville can be really polarizing, where like if you're unable to maintain control of center, you find yourself just either in the left or the right corner the entire time, and the person who does have center has like a really easy time of maintaining pressure under that platform because it limits your options of approach. So we'll kind of see where they end up here as we're loading up into this second game here, and it is going to be triplats, and we got Yoshi's.
Yoshi's story, bring that ceiling down low and make that Ivysaur up air kill all the earlier. Already starting out nice and slow. BassMage not wanting to approach that tree. And can you blame him losing 2 stocks that first game? But these rockets and these flower pots, not to mention the slingshots, it is a wall up in here.
So this stage can definitely make BassMage's offense more explosive just by nature of having those triplats, having that low ceiling. Finding stocks is going to be really good, assuming you can actually find a hit at all. This is complete domination of a center stage, and I'm surprised that Volleyball didn't connect, but the roll read on deck to finish it off. StealthBurst looking for the first upset, I believe, of the bracket, certainly of the winner's side, looking extremely solid here in this game too, and we're still in best of 3 territory, I think.
Oh man, I was hoping, that this would be a little bit closer second time around. Granted, Ivysaur does have a lot more burst potential on this stage with, potential Nair to Vine Whips around like this percent actually, but outside of that, I mean, BassMage has to be able to get in first. I know he's been, as Yin has been saying, Ivysaur, and I'm like, that's cool and all, bro, but you gotta find something with this Ivysaur if you're gonna stick with it, because I know there's some people who love to stick to one Pokemon, right? You got Beast on Zard, you got some people that just love Squirtle only, and I think Ivysaur is probably the most popular to do that with. Beautiful up smash, by the way. Thank you. Finally managed to pick one up there. But I want to see more of that. Yeah. Hit those up airs. Covers the entire platform. Spam that joint. That's the one.
Show him those broken moves on this character. That Vine Whip coming through nice and clean. And look at that. This is what we want to see. If you're going to play this character, show him why this character is so good. And boom, dead with those several down airs off stage and sending a message that, look, you might have got me game 1, but this is a whole nother game and you ain't ready to play.
All it takes is one, right? Like, all it takes is one way to...
I mean, hey, it was one. It was one. Let me tell you that
much. On the other side!
Ivysaur is just really wide, Like, just... she kind of waddles around, like, she stuck her little foot into it, and, I guess that's all it takes sometimes. It doesn't feel great when you get your toe crushed by a bowling ball, but you might have your stock crushed right here off stage against Ivysaur down air. Oh. How many times does it take? He does make it back, though.
He's trying, finessing, trying to find that final blow potentially. I mean, the up airs have been phenomenal. Really, it's a matter of, can I get this to a point where I am either under you or directly above you? And meanwhile, on the other side of things, for Villager, you're like, I'm going to keep you as horizontal as possible, right? And you can kind of see how the matchup plays when either characters are getting their win conditions here, as that was almost the game. But geez, we will see if BassMage can go ahead and secure a victory here. Otherwise, might be all she wrote.
Yeah, Base just needed to find one good hit, but hold up, this juggle not quite going to be able to do it. BassMage not shadowing underneath quite as well as they would have liked, and now you are back to getting walled out. Beautiful back air, though, to call out that slingshot, too. These placements are getting better and better. You can tell that BassMage is starting to figure out the zoning, but you know what? StealthBurst taking it out, and I think the big thing that I noticed there that I kind of want to see a switch up in this next game is a lot of the time StealthBurst is kind of drifting back on these slingshots, and BassMage doesn't seem to be overshooting for that.
Yeah, they're keeping it very focused on how the interactions with the platforms worked out, which generally that kind of becomes your win condition when you're playing on Yoshi's Story because the stage is as exploitable as it is. But when you have a player that is playing around like side platform, dropping bowling balls off the front of it to create threat into center stage, or drop through the platform slingshot to extend that range further, suddenly you're trying to play around the 45-degree angle, which is where StealthBurst really struck super hard, saving that up smash read until late in the set and going right back to it with these different dash attacks and more bowling balls right at the jump.
Man, right back to Yoshi's as well, which I think no surprise there either. Kind of close on the last try. Not close enough though at BassMage. Starting off this game, honestly, about as well as the past few. Always seems to start off on the back foot. Would love to see BassMage get and secure a lead and then maintain it for a little while here, as maybe this is the opportunity as we're pushing Villager to the corner. Do we have a well-timed down air? No, it hits one balloon, but still an advantage.
And look at that bind whip catch to call out that Lloyd Rocket. Beautifully done. BassMage has done a lot more stalling off stage to try to reposition for these edge guards, and it's working out phenomenally. But that bowling ball, man, StealthBurst getting so close every time, but just not quite able to get the timing yet the past two games.
It's he's gonna hit it one of these days. Getting sent the wrong way with that neutral air, but that's like you were bringing up a little earlier, Flambeau. The dynamic of having a lead against Villager, against a lot of these archetypes of characters, completely transforms the dynamic. Like now, all of that zoning, all of that platform play, like it's now on StealthBursts to create that advantage from that platform play. Instead, finally catching BassMage with one of those bowling balls. You are still behind the 8-ball a little bit, but keeping stocks even means you can chip away at a lead instead of trying to force a stock to be dropped instantaneously.
You can already see posting up in the corner. Let me throw out a Lloyd Rocket. Let me throw out some forward airs. How about another Lloyd Rocket? Mix it in with a dash attack. There's just so many options that you can put here. Boom. Throw out the Lloyd Rocket. Force your opponent to jump, catch it with the forward air. It's really tough to get out of the situation if you're BassMage, because you just keep getting conditioned to take certain escape routes and then being punished because you're falling for it. So we'll see if he's able to adjust, but time is winding down here as this is game 3, of course. You don't have any other time but now to make the adjustment.
Yeah, and it looks like StealthBurst doesn't want to allow that adjustment to be made, willing to just stay in those corners and let the Razor Leaf rip from BassMage. But BassMage trying to force the issue, just not quite able to find it. And now with the tree on deck, got to be a little bit careful, but with the air dodge through, making it out alive. And now bada bing, bada boom. No double dunk, though. And bowling ball just barely missing on BassMage's head.
Want to keep track of the get-up attacks as well. Both of these, many of these ledge traps have been completely circumvented by BassMage by getting up attack, doing a get-up attack through some of these ledge traps that have been set up by StealthBurst. Gotta keep tally of how many times you go for that option. It's heavily punishable. Though BassMage does have a lead that they reasserted with a forward smash of their own. It's just a matter of time how long that will last, with another bowling ball coming down. Sorry about that, BassMage kind of jinxed you a little bit there.
It's okay. I think it'll recover maybe, as you know, we're kind of coming down to the final moments of this third game. Throwing out a lot of neutral airs now, just trying to preemptively read where Villager is going to go. But, you know, watch out for StealthBurst because he will sneak up on you. with the explosive punches out of nowhere. We already saw quite a few trees connect in the earlier games. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see a ledge trap with that. These bowling balls in this game especially seem to have spelt doom for BassMage, so I don't know. He keeps getting hit. The number's only going up and the blast zones are not far away. I'm a little scared.
I mean, you gotta be at this point if you are a BassMage fan. As you mentioned earlier, these walls are just getting popped up by StealthBurst, and BassMage, hold up! The call out on that landing to get the kill and bring us into a game 4. When you needed it most, you found it and clutched it up.
That's the reason you go there, right? Like, this is the entire purpose of 2 games worth of counterpick. And honestly, like, most of the stocks didn't end up going that way. But all you need is one, as to kind of harken back to what I said a little earlier. All you need is one in order to make it have a difference throughout a set. And finally, you're able to establish that momentum, establish that like win condition that's on the table as Ivysaur, as exclusively Ivysaur throughout the entire bracket thus far, or throughout at least the entirety of this set. Who knows if they're sticking with just Ivysaur, really trying to pull a quid. But hey, you've got that going for you now, and we'll see just how much that can pay dividends later on, because that might mean you might see a whole lot more air dodges coming out from StealthBurst if they're scared of dying off the top like they did in that pivotal game 3. Only time will tell how the conditioning plays out.
Okay, so BassMage learned a thing or two, and we're back to a tri-plat. So despite the fact that we're not on Yoshi's, BassMage effectively has gone to the same stage for the past games at this point, right? So this is going to look very similar to the Yoshi's game, but on the flip side of things, you know, the stocks are going to last a little bit longer, and I think it's going to matter quite a bit here, because in terms of how the last game ended, it would look completely different if it was on this stage.
Yeah, and look at this pressure, though. The forward air going through the Lloyd Rocket, just not setting it off, sadly. Ooh, I like that little stall. I haven't seen that before, spawning the Lloyd Rocket in the stage to just put out that threat. But now, off stage, BassMage able to get on through that get-up attack that you mentioned last game, Ooble, coming through in spades to punish that bowling ball.
I mean, if it keeps working, so you got to keep using it, and then the downer comes in. You need another one. Missed well too late on the second down air. I like that StealthBurst has been trying to be a little bit more patient on the ledge. A lot of times BassMage has been going for a lot of overshoot nairs or charging the forward smash to cover that ledge. Both are beaten by just good patience and good timing as BassMage falls yet again to a bowling ball setup with these platforms. Flambeau, I mean, the layout itself was never the problem, but when you expand those blast zones, it turns into complete control with the extra survivability and with that extra effort that BassMage has to put in. StealthBurst is just turning it onto him tenfold.
Yeah, I mean, you really got to ask yourself, like, in terms of things that you could be doing on a Friday night, it's like trying to deal with Villager on Battlefield running around is not, I don't think, at the top of most people's list, but
it's for charity. It's for charity.
It's for charity, so you gotta do it, man.
Hey, you know what? It might be for charity, but that tree is not giving today. It has been punishing, and look at that bowling ball out on deck. Rocket, the constant pressure, and now BassMage just trying to find a way through to get the kill. They're gonna do it, especially at almost 200%, letting StealthBurst live just a little teensy bit too long there.
I'm just so impressed with StealthBurst's off-stage game. Like, they've been getting hit by multiple nairs, multiple dares, and just finding their way back. And that's kind of been the Achilles heel of BassMage. Like, it seems like they'll find the initial edge guard, or they'll find the initial hit that normally, against a lot of the cast, results in the stock. But then they've got to go for one more mix-up, one more play, one more finisher. And it just won't work out for them at the very end, and we get reset back to the same old situation. Trying to get through the barrage of items and pellets and slingshots that inevitably, though it may take a while, will result in a stock lead for StealthBurst.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, I think that's a great way of describing it. He's just chipping away, like a sculptor, I suppose. Just chunking at some marble, just trying to make the perfect sculpture here. But so far, not quite able to get it, as BassMage is trying to use all that rage. But as I say that, the curse ensues and the stock gets yeeted away from existence.
Yeah, and now catching an umbrella for your troubles here. Boom, shovel. Look at this 64%. Look, we talked about him chipping away, but when he gets that opportunity, Stealth Burst pushes these damage outputs to the brink.
Yeah, you always got to know how to gain a lead when you're playing a slow, like methodical character. It's the reason that Sonic's, for instance, is so good. It's the reason why you're still using like drive rush stuff if you're a Dhalsim player. Like you gotta know how to gain that lead and how to make your opponent be sweating about the situation before you finish them off. Because once your opponent starts forcing their way in, like with a full screen, full sprint dash attack that you just let linger across the stage, that's free real estate, my guy, and Villager sets up his house like nobody's business.